electric key fabric for a car that can be attached on an infant's ankle or a parent's wrist. Another key, a fold type device, can be worn around the neck or a staff member to use as a personal panic button. But the Vera chip also has a separate potential identification parent identification system, VeraMed, which is used beneath the skin. Alright, going back to the human implantable chip. Once the chip is implanted in the fatty part of a person's arm or in the hand, as the chip's volunteers have done, it displays a 16-digit identifier when tapped by an RFID reader. The number accesses health information in a database that requires a user's name and password for administrance. VeraChip of Delray Beach, Florida, confirms in medical reports that Scott Silverman, its board chairman, has held informal meetings with the U.S. Navy and Air Force officers to discuss a feasible study of its VeraMed system. These were paramount decisions in informal meetings about the VeraMed project and how it might be incorporated into the Department of Defense's Electric Health Record Program, says Nicole Philibin, a spokesman for VeraChip. The VeraChip, which is designed to give voice to the voiceless in the most critical of times. That's the whole thing. That's all that is a trap right there. Basically saying, oh, you know, if the guy was unconscious or the female was unconscious, we can pull up all their information using this chip. That's one of the ways they promoting it, making it sound sweet. According to Philibin, who would be appropriable to both veterans and enlisted personnel in both the Navy and Air Force. The idea of a VeraMed chip is that that data can be accessed even if a patient is severely injured or unconscious. Oh man, it says while civilians have the opinion or the option of choosing how much information is accessible on the VeraMed database, it's not clear what the guidelines would be for enlisted personnel. Alright. It's a pretty long one. Alright. Skip down to this part right here. Oh, here we go. Alright, the problem privacy advocates say is that the VeraChip is targeting individuals who may not have a say in whether or not they are chipped. Immigrants, the elderly, and the enlisted. The CEO of Applied Digital, the parent company of VeraChip, recently suggested the government consider implanting RFID chips into the arms of registered immigrants to address immigration issues. Alright, and that was another reason why I put this article up, is because they're trying to target the so-called Latinos, alright, which are, you know, y'all Israelites, alright, and they want to implant you. The government is no stranger to RFID. And in July, the Army paid $3.76 million to M3M to implantment an RFID-based system that will track medical files as its mass Fort Hood Army base in Texas, the military's largest active duty domestic base. Fort Hood houses the active medical records of more than 150,000 men and women stationed there, and their dependents' records. In contrast with NATO, the U.S. military is using RFID to track goods and war uh, threaters, as well as through global supply chains. U.S. State Department on contract with the Department of Homeland Security mandated RFID chip passports by the end of this year, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration recently released its recommendations for the industry, pharmaceutical industry regarding the use of RFID to track counterfeit drugs. The FDA also approved the use of the Veramed implantable chip in October 2004, and a document titled Guidelines for Industrial and the FDA staff released in December 2004. The FDA made a couple of recommendations for the VeriChip as it goes about its business of chipping individuals and groups like the military enlisted. Alright, when discussing the issue of medical devices that store, access, or transfer information externally, I think that's how you say it, you should address the concept of information security. Reads the document. The FDA also identified a number of risks associated with the implantable RFID chip, including adverse tissue reaction, migration of the implantable transmitter, electrical magnetic interference, and electrical hazard. Alright, that's from that article. Let me go to this one real quick. Alright, and this is just proving that, they want to chip, alright, you tribes as well as the people that's joining the military. Alright, it says the VeriChip wants to chip every U.S. soldier. Despite some partial or pretty significant security concerns, everyone's favorite futuristic company, VeriChip, is looking to get its chip under the skin of the largest group of people yet, the entire U.S. military. Alright. According to the DC Examiner, the company is lobbying the Pentagon to choose its RFID tags as a replacement for the famous metal dog tags, making information like a person's name and complete medical record instantly available with the swipe of an RFID reader. Needless to say, not everyone sold on the idea. With veteran groups and some members of Congress already raising concerns, there doesn't seem to be any indication to when a decision might be made, although given the VeriChip's political connections, we wouldn't be so quick to bet against it. Alright? So, that's another article, just pulling out the information. Alright? Let me pull this out too. The DREAM Act. Alright, which the DREAM Act is basically geared towards you so-called Latinos. Alright? Alright, which are Israelites. Basically through the DREAM Act, this is basically created to force you to become so I can force you to take the chip, basically. I'm going to read it. The DREAM Act, an acronym for Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, is an American legislation proposed, first introduced in the Senate of August 1, 2001, and most recently reintroduced there on May 11, 2011. It says, this bill will provide conditional permanent residence to certain illegal aliens of good moral character who graduated from U.S. high schools, arrived in the U.S. as a minor, and lived in the country continuously for at least 5 years prior to the bill's enactment. If they were to complete 2 years in the military, complete 2 years in the military, or 2 years at a 4-year institution of higher learning, which is college, where they brainwash you, they would obtain temporary residence for a 6-year period. It says within the 6 years period, they may qualify if they have adequate acquired, and that's right, a degree from an institution of higher education in the United States, or has complete at least 2 years in good standing and a problem for in a program bachelor degree or higher degree in the United States, or have served in the armed service for at least 2 years, and if discharged, have received an honorable discharge. The military enlistment contract requires an 8-year commitment. So basically, that's your ass if you sign up to it to join the military. All right, which with active duty commitments typically between 4 and 6 years, but as low as 2 years. Any alien whose permanent residence status is terminated shall return to immigration status. The alien had immediately period to receiving conditional permanent resident status under this act. This bill has included illegal immigrants as old as 35 years old. In December 2010 report, the Congress Budget Office and the Joint Committee of Taxation estimated that in that November 30, 2010 version of the DREAM Act would reduce defect by about 1.4 billion over 2011 to 2020 period, and increase government revenues by 2.3 billion over the next 10 years. The same report also noted that the act would increase projected defects by more than 5 billion in at least one of 4 consecutive 10-year periods starting in 2021. One recent UCLA study estimated that between 1.4 trillion and 3.6 trillion in taxable income will be generated from the economy over a 40-year period, based upon estimated ranges between 825,000 to 2.1 million potential DREAM Act beneficiaries successfully obtaining resident status through the legislation. Alright, so with that said, they basically, if you join the military, alright, because that's one option, which many of you jakes, alright, won't be able to qualify, especially amongst the Latins, won't be able to qualify for the higher learning. Alright, I'm just being straightforward. So majority of y'all, if y'all want to try to get status here in America, which will be destroyed, you're gonna have to join the military. Alright, if you want to accept the DREAM Act, which is basically set up against you, because if you accept the chip, which there's even more articles on this, but they chip in, alright, the U.S. soldiers, alright, and this was posted back in 2006, alright, and I couldn't find that video, but if I do find it, I'll put it in the info boxes under the links. But what they got? Oh, that they passed. Well, they are chipping the soldiers in the military. All right. So, like I said, if you get it, it's basically you sealed your doom. All right. All right. So let's go. Alright, Revelations 14, alright, and 8. Alright, Revelations 14 and 8. It says, "There followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Alright.